Hi everyone, Adrian from Audio Excellence. So first things first, happy birthday, Ceci. She's officially 18 years old.
Yes, finally turned 18.
Yeah.
Still can't drink.
Anyway, welcome to another episode of the three of us talking nonsense. So today I thought we would cover the Peachtree Carina versus the Hegel H120. Integrated amplifiers. And I thought it might be interesting because the Carina came out very recently within the last 4 or 5 months, and we just haven't had a chance to do a listen to it or compare it. And I thought, well, why don't we compare it to one of our most popular integrated amplifiers, which is the Hegel H120. So on paper, they are quite different in the sense of features and power. I'll just run down very quickly. For those of you who want to know more about the Carina, we did an unboxing. One of the people will link the unboxing video below. So here are the basic details. The Hegel H120 is 2 channels of 75 watts. It has Apple AirPlay, Spotify Connect. It has its own DAC. They don't talk about the DAC too much. It has a headphone output. Basically very straightforward, very simple. The Carina is a digital integrated amplifier. Uses a Hypex N-Core Class D chips, 6 digital inputs including Bluetooth, 2 new Saber 9068 DACs. Every input is MQA compatible or will decode MQA, has selectable filters, a lot of stuff. Anyway, 300 watts into 8 ohms and 580 into 4 ohms. Prices are Carina's $32.99 Canadian, Hegel is $3,800 Canadian. So those are the two. Those are the two on paper, and we connected using what did we use? We used a Pulse Inuos Pulse Mini, the digital output into either of them. And we used the MoFi speakers, was it? Yeah, the MoFi SourcePoint 10 speakers. So everything else was the same. The only thing that we changed was the integrated amplifier. So who wants to start?
Lady Birthday.
Yeah.
Okay,
Birthday girl.
sure. So comparing these two amplifiers was very difficult for me because it's actually something that, for me, if I were to choose an amplifier, I would probably consider these two. They are reasonable in price. It's good to listen to all of the Macintosh or D'Agostino, but I can't afford it, so they'll all be on the wish list. So before I started listening, I did some digging, knowing that the Peachtree has Bluetooth. It already wins over the Hegel to me, and then I thought Hegel is so popular, it must have its reasons, right? And then I researched it, and it seemed that the Hegel is popular for its soundstage. It has extremely quiet background with great detail, but it supplies less power compared to the Peachtree. And so the factors that I consider comparing these two were the bass, the clarity, soundstage, and lastly, emotional factor. So the first song that I played was Hotel California, the new arrangement version in 1994. It was live. Although I played them at the same levels, but the Peachtree sounded louder. The bass has more authority that Adrian would describe. But the Hegel, even though it's not as loud, it's not as forward, but it still has all the clarity. So I could hear the fingers on the guitar and the image that it creates. But if for bass, I would say the Peachtree would be more powerful. It's more coming towards me. So, but then moving on to the soundstage, and I also noticed that the Hegel is very good with imaging, so it sounded more real. It has more texture. It creates the sounds that was beyond the speakers and creates an image of the singer singing in front of me, which the Peachtree didn't do as well comparing to the Hegel, but the Peachtree did extremely well with bass, like when we played Billie Eilish songs. What was the song? Billie Eilish, we played Everything I Wanted. The bass was much more concussive, copying what Adrian would describe. So all of those were the technical parts. So I move on to the emotional collections songs. The song that played was Dolly Parton's Coat of Many Colors. And so I had the lyrics printed in front of me. If you see the lyrics, you understand how powerful and how emotional it could get. So one of the lines says, I hurried off to school just to find the others laughing in my coat of many color my mama made for me. So Dolly was very poor growing up. Her mother made her a coat made of using patches of rags into a coat. So she would get laughed at by her friends. And when I listened to this song with the Carina, I felt a bit emotional, but not very strong. When I switched to Hegel, somehow the feeling of the song was completely changed. The voice in the singer was much more rich. It magically just has this emotional evoke. So I was really amazed by Hegel, because when I first played it when I played the songs to test bass, I thought the Peachtree sounded more powerful, but the Hegel, it's definitely has emotional evoke. So I move on to another song called Beautiful in White by Shane Phelan. I heard the song long time ago when I was much younger. When I first heard the song, I thought this is so beautiful. It has so much love in the singer's voice. Just listening to this song just makes you feel happy. I would imagine that in my future wedding, I would play this song. So this song combines all of my imagination, what's something that I long for in a marriage or in a wedding. So I played it with the Hegel first line into the song. I was starting to tear up. No jokes. It was very, very emotional. I could visualize that on a wedding day and playing this song, walking down the aisle, and just makes me feel very emotional. So when I switch back to the Hegel, the Peachtree, even though the song is so meaningful to me, but it doesn't do as much the emotional part as the Hegel. So this is something that very interesting. So now to wrap up all of my thoughts. The Peachtree, I think it does really well on the technical, the audiophile stuff, but it doesn't. So if you like bass or rock music, I think this is something that maybe would be very interested. But to me, I'm a person that would be for more emotional music. I would listen to music that have more meaning. So I would probably choose the Hegel. Okay, so those were my thoughts on the comparison.
Great. By the way, before we leave what she just finished saying, excuse me, a few days ago when we decided we're going to do this video, she came to me and said, is it okay if I say which one I prefer? Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
And I said, absolutely. That's the whole point. And she didn't tell me what she liked, just again to reinforce the idea that we don't collaborate or collude. The idea is that we say what we believe and what we like or dislike. Okay, my friend.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So I started off with the Peachtree Carina. There's a new band I discovered just recently last week called String Space. Let us say it slowly. It's a lot of strings and it's not audiophile, but it's semi jazz, pop jazz, and also I chose a specific song, Desafinado, which is a Brazilian song which they played. It brought out a lot of the vocals in the female singer here. I went from female singers most of on this test, as I should just declare from now. There was a sax part in it where it reminds me of the original one, which was done with Stan Getz, and you could hear all the detail, the air of the horn in it. What I didn't like too much about the Carina, was the female voice sounded a bit hot. I mean, a little bit above. It wasn't smooth as to my liking, compared to the Hegel, which I played afterwards. But it stood up pretty good. The next track I picked was also a new singer to me, called Lady Blackbird. Amazing jazz singer, sounding just like, or familiar sounding to, Nina Simone, one of my favorite artists. And so this Lady Blackbird, she sings this song called Blackbird. It's amazing. For the people who don't know, should go to this song on Tidal and listen to it. The piano and the bass, fast and sharp with the Peachtree. But again, something about the vocal just didn't seem right with me. I don't know if it's just the songs I chose. But anyways, so I was back and forth with this song with the Peachtree versus the Hegel. And I found the Hegel so much smoother. Bass not as pronounced, but it's just a smoother sounding amplifier. And it could be, the Hegel is class AB. The Carina is class D with the Hypex modules. For some reason, the Hegel just performed as expected for me. A song I next played, another female vocal, was Melody Gardot, playing a song from I knew when I was a kid, Over the Rainbow. I mean, gentlemen, this is this is an old song. I think it was done by, what is the name of that actress? Jeez, it's slipping me. But it's from a movie, The Wizard of Oz, yes. But this is a new rendition, a new cover done by Melody Gardot, and Over the Rainbow. Beautiful. You should hear this. I recommend anyone to listen to this song. I made you listen to this. Yeah.
Oh
Anyways, so again, the Peachtree didn't satisfy me the way the Hegel did. It's the vocal was smooth, well pronounced on the Hegel. It's just a little bit hot for me. And it's not the speaker, because the Source Point 10 MoFi is not very bright a speaker, I find, and it's not bright. So I don't know. The Hegel wins again for me. I noted here that the separation of the Peachtree, it was great, but the center image was not as good as the Hegel. I went on to play an old Bobby Vinton song from the 70s, Sealed with a Kiss. My days of being a DJ, we used to play it a lot. And we got girls that want to dance to this. So this is a popular song, guys. So anyways, it just brings back a lot of memories for me as well, when in my younger days in the early 70s that we used to play this when we were DJing. The voicing on this track with the Peachtree was really good, as well as the Hegel. It kind of balanced out on this song for me, so there was no preference on that specific song. Then I went back to another oldie by the band Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. We called it back home Blue Eyed Soul. And the song was Young Girl, back in the early 70s as well. Fantastic song, very romantic. It played well on both. The male vocals, apparently, the Carina handles it pretty good compared to the female vocals. So it balanced out here for me. So I played some other tracks, instrumentals. I won't need to go into them as such, but I find that the Hegel is really smooth and to my liking more than the Carina. The Carina is good with the genre of jazz. It plays very, very well. It sounds really good. Sharp bass. Played some Christian McBride songs, and with his bass, it was really punching hard. Loved it. I'll sum up my what I wrote when I'm finished, when we're all finished to the end. I'll pass off to Adrian now to hear what he had to say.
So as the both of them were talking about it, I was thinking, wow, in some respects I agree, and in some other respects, in terms of their conclusion, I was thinking I'm going to be the odd person out. But I think I may understand why. I was trying to think about when both Ceci and Lewis were describing their emotional and sonic descriptions. I was trying to think how can I analogize this, and then many of you know cars, or at the very least have interest in cars. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I can use that as an analogy, because I've been very fortunate over the years to have owned a lot of different cars. The Hegel reminds me of my first Ferrari. I'm not trying to flex. This is the first thing that came to my mind. 1989 Ferrari 328. The new version, or the newer version of the Magnum PI car. If you're my generation, and Mike is nodding his head, you'll know which car I'm talking about. Well, this was the follow-up car with the ABS brakes and so on. And I was so excited when I got this car. I had made a lot of money through the internet, and I thought, okay, I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to get myself a first Ferrari. And obviously red with tan interior, the standard Ferrari finish, and it's convertible, so absolutely gorgeous. Get all excited, drive the car off the lot, immediately stalled it because the gear is shifted, it's notchy, the clutch is hard, and I'm a terrible driver. Anyway, beside the point. After a while, get used to driving the car. And then I remember one beautiful sunny day on a Sunday, driving it with the top, and it was just the most amazing drive you could imagine. Get to a stoplight, and I'm thinking, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. And simultaneously, I feel very uncomfortable because I don't like attention, and at the same time, I enjoyed it. And then red light turns green. I step on the gas, and I'm horrified that I'm barely moving, and all the minivans are going by me, right? And then I started. Suddenly, I realized this car has no torque. I mean, remember, this is a much older car back when Ferrari wasn't necessarily Ferrari today. And, all these cars were going right by me, and I'm stepping, nothing is happening. Embarrassing as hell. But beside that, It was nimble, it was light, it turned on a dime. It was just a tremendous car to drive. And the Hegel reminds me of that. Hegel is sort of like that. With certain kinds of music, it is so compelling and so engaging. In particular, relatively simple music. And when I say simple, I'll explain that in a moment. Light jazz trios, simple vocals, light classical. There's very little default. It's wonderful. And if you don't play it too loud, it's fantastic. Then the Peachtree, so many more decades later, with all my white hair and all the wisdom which comes from experience which comes from making a lot of mistakes, I now have a Tesla Model Y Performance. Now, I mentioned specifically the Performance for a specific reason. I actually wanted the long range because I drive so much, so extra range would be useful, but they didn't have any, so I bought the Performance. And the Performance, the major thing is that it's 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. So for those of you car nuts, you'll realize that that's insane. A lot of supercars can't even do that. This SUV, 3.3 seconds. It's insane. Anyway, for those of us who are true car nuts, it's not necessarily the only thing, obviously, because there's a lot more to Performance than just a straight line speed. Having said that, it's extremely addictive. You step on the accelerator and you're there. It's just you don't even have to count. You're in front of everybody, and that's what the Peachtree seems to be able to do. When you play larger, more complex music, it does that really, really well. I'll just give you one example. The staff here knows that the last 2-3 weeks I've been insanely stressed and busy. And there have been a few days where I don't even see them. I'll just say hi and I'm out. And so during one of those days, I was feeling very stressed and I decided I'm going to listen to some music. And we had both the Peachtree and the Hegel set up. So I listened to the Hegel first and I thought, okay, I'm going to default to a piece of music that I've always loved when I'm stressed. I'll play it very loud. And so it was Beethoven's Symphony No. 5. And I decided to play Sir Simon Rattle with the Berlin Philharmonic. And the first movement, as many of you will know, if you know Beethoven, is the most famous 4 notes. Bum, 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 right? And if you play it the way that I like to play it, it's pretty loud to get my juices going. And I realized that it wasn't doing it for me. The Hegel sounded very smooth, very sweet, but it wasn't grabbing me. It wasn't turning me on. And after about 5 or 6 minutes, I shut it off. The music wasn't doing what it normally does for me. A few days later, still under stress, I decided to play the same piece again. And this time I had the Peachtree going, same piece of music, and a complete transformation. It played the brass and the double basses and the percussion so much better. And I thought, well, maybe it's just a different day. I'm in a different mood. Let me switch over to the Hegel again. And sure enough, still didn't do it for me, whereas the Peachtree did. And then I thought, well, let me try a different interpretation, see if things might change. And I tried Carlos Kleiber's interpretation. If anything, it highlighted even more what the Peachtree could do that the Hegel didn't do with this complex piece of music. And I decided to play it all the way through to the very, very end. And with the Peachtree, the last movement is incredibly engaging. If you follow the 4-note motif all the way to the end, this video is getting too long, so I'm not going to get into it. But suffice to say that the Peachtree left me in an emotional mess at the very end. I was exhilarated. I was feeling so much better. And then the Hegel didn't quite do it for me. Having said that, with simpler music, the Hegel was fantastic. I suspect maybe that's why I like the Peachtree, because I do like a very wide range of music, and I don't always just listen to simple music, or simpler music, not simple. But maybe that's why. So I do like the Peachtree overall, for me. Yeah.
I think, though, I agree with what you're saying, but I think it's definitely more genre specific.
Yeah.
But overall, I will still take the Hegel.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
What do these two kids know?
No, but I agree with you because the
By the way,
instruments.
somebody in the comments is going to say, Adrian just dismissed them. The hell, man? It's a joke.
No,
Calm down.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, I do agree. I also find that the Peachtree does really well in instruments.
Yeah.
Very well. You, like the guitar or the flute, you could hear these instruments really well, but not with the Hegel. So I think it depends on what kind of music or genre that the person likes. So for us, we might like simpler music.
Right,
yeah,
right.
vocals.
But I decided also not to play any of the audiophile recordings because to me, the majority of people, what may come in the store may not like the audiophile recordings, which I like. So I preferred to play, something more normal, I would say, for the majority than the select few audiophile songs. So that's why I picked some of the songs from like the 70s because they're not overly well recorded, but good equipment should make it sound okay.
Okay, we're told we only have a few minutes left.
Okay.
Ceci, any last words?
No, I just want to, if anyone heard this song, you should comment down so we could have, we're basically having a battle here.
And I win, as usual. All right, well, thanks for watching this. Obviously, if you've heard any of these, feel free to comment. We'll do a follow-up video at some point also comparing. I wanted to do a follow-up a video with the name 5SI, but then I realized that it's strictly analog, and then it's going to be a little bit more complicated to do a comparison with that. Maybe we'll do it with the PS Audio, the Stella Stratter. So we'll do that perhaps in a future video. Anyway, thanks for watching. As usual, if you like it, please like the video, share, subscribe, and turn on notification. Comments below about what you'd like to say, and tell these people, obviously, that they're wrong, as usual. And we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.